In racing, experience counts for a lot, and at times can be hard to come by. And while the global nature of sim racing means we can often visit more exotic and faraway locations, it also includes places some have experience with. Such is the case here today at Circuit of the Americas. A few of the drivers have a handy ace up their sleeve for this event as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. COTA stepped onto the world stage very quickly with its purpose-built aim for Formula One. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Circuit of the Americas. The cliche of everything's bigger in Texas rings true for this track in the Lone Star State. Built specifically for Formula One, the number of corners, circuit length, safety features, and general track amenities immediately set this place apart from almost every racing course in the United States. Of the 3 layouts available, the most widely used is the Grand Prix circuit, which tops out at a whopping 20 turns along nearly 3.5 miles. Many of them have been modeled after well-known sections of European tracks such as Silverstone, Hockenheim, and Istanbul. But compared to those venues, this place still has lots of unique challenges. Turn 1 in particular features the largest elevation change from the lap and culminates in a blind and sharp hairpin. The penultimate corner is just as tough, with its off-camber apex and sudden drop forcing many to escape to the paved runoff on the outside. And though it was meant to lure F1, many other series have now raced here, ranging from IndyCar to WEC, IMSA, and even V8 supercars. Track days are also common, with the SCCA running all types of amateur events to allow up-and-coming drivers to feel what it's like to battle on the same tarmac as Vettel and Hamilton have. With this track, American race fans finally get to experience a purpose-built course made in the modern day. Texas went bigger and better, and in the process, raised the bar for their peers. Well, it's a track that has brought a lot of international attention to road racing here in the States, DJ, but today we have more of a local club tackling it.
We do indeed, Joe, but rest assured, even though this track may have been built for Formula One, it provides just as much challenge and excitement here for the Porsche Owners Club. Now, very similar to Formula One, the 2 main overtaking zones that we're going to see here today are going to be going uphill into turn 1, that incredible first corner around this track, and then down the long backstretch into turn 12. The other parts of the track really turn 2 through about turn 9, that sweeper section that's modeled a little bit after Silverstone. That's a real rhythm section. Drivers are going to have to just feel that out and feel what the car is going to want to do. And it's going to be an area specifically for the GT1 category here that they are not going to want to catch traffic. That is going to be very, very difficult to try to get a pass through there. Then the second section of the track, that's about turn 12 through turn 19. Well, if you ever want to learn how to trail brake, that is the place to do it, as the slower corners there and the varying apexes really, really challenge the car. It's wide enough that you should be able to get out of the way if you're in the GT2 class, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But what it may do in terms of overtaking and set up some interesting fight back opportunities coming off of turn 12. We may see some ability to fight back through there, but the other big thing that these drivers are gonna have to take an eye out for here today is track limits. This is a modern Formula One circuit. There's a lot of asphalt runoff, and it is very, very easy to pick up those 1Xs all around this course.
Yeah, we'll go over what those limits are in terms of the incidents, not necessarily the track, too much cover for that. But before that, let's also cover our sponsors, including Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. As well as Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And finally, Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. championship is interesting, especially here in the GT1s. This is the GTE class cars. Travis Brown continues to pull away from a lot of his rivals because even though he didn't win last round, Bayan Salehi is basically kind of on a recovery after he didn't show up for a couple. So that's why you see him so far back despite the immense amount of speed that he tends to have whenever he does arrive. Michael W. Johnson sitting in second. We thought he was going to do better today, but he's not showing much in practice and qualifying. This could be a bit of a shakeup for him unless he picks it up. Latvala and Fulton round out your top 5 in the GT1s, while DJ has the GT2s.
Thanks, Joe. In this GT2, this is the GT4 category of Porsche. And as you can see, Jerry Freckleton there holding a pretty sizable advantage over John Momeyer. His consistency week in and week out has been really, really apparent and impressive. Momeyer, meanwhile, has a slightly smaller gap back to Aaron Edwards, but that battle for P3, that's something to keep an eye out for. Aaron Edwards only 7 points ahead of Tyler King, with Adam Fulton only 4 points back of King. So a very tight battle there all the way around.
Great stuff. Now for the race details of today. Here you can see it is a 30-minute event. They're in the middle of the qualifying session right now, and there's the 2 different cars in each class that they run. It is open setup. Now, as for those incident limits that we were talking about, 17 incidents, and they'll get a drive-through. That's not a whole lot, even with 30 minutes. And then every 5 past that, they'll continue to get drive-through penalties until they hit 34 incidents total, and then they will actually be disqualified from the race immediately if they hit that many. Hopefully we don't have anybody getting that many racked up in only a 30-minute race, as that'd be more than 1 incident per minute out on this circuit. So it is Bayan Salehi who currently holds the pole position in the GT1s. GT2s goes to Jad Duncan. Now, the reason we keep making a big deal out of Michael Johnson, for those of you who turned in for one of the sister series that they run here, the 4 Drink Friday, which is sort of a fun series, they ran Circuit of the Americas, and Michael Johnson trounced everybody because he's actually a driver coach here in real life at this very track. But it doesn't seem like it's paying as many dividends here in the full race in the GT cars.
No, it doesn't, and it's a little bit surprising there for the Texan. You see him coming around through that S's section like we talked about. But Joe, I do also think that he may not necessarily have the absolute fastest 1-lap time here, but he's going to want to be watching out for in the race, as he may be able to just consistently do those laps time in and time out and move his way up forward that way.
That battle for the pole in the GT2s is looking pretty tight, if I'm honest. Oviatt only 7 100ths behind Jad Duncan right now as we watch Hagendick cross the line. That one not going to count. I've seen a lot of missing laps, if I'm honest, but that's not that big of a shocker around this track.
No, it's really not, and it's very similar to a lot of other Formula One circuits that we see on the surfaces. We see Paul Newton, I think this is an outlap for him. You think of Spa, you think of Hockenheim, you think of those circuits with a lot of asphalt runoff, and it tends to be a situation where you can pick up those 1Xs, but let's follow in on Jad Duncan as he crosses the line, able to go a little bit faster by about 500ths.
But that one didn't count for him either. He also transgressed those track limits. Unfortunately, that's Latvala, who just crossed the line, and this is Slavic. I'm keeping an eye on Oviatt. He's got just a couple more corners to go to try and get around again, but it is a long lap in those GT2 class cars, the GT4s. There you see them on screen. It is 2 minutes and some change just to do a single lap, so he really doesn't have too many opportunities past this one to improve.
No, he really doesn't, but let's see how he handles this last corner here coming through there. Looks like he got it wound down pretty nicely, but it's going to be a slow lap there for Oviatt.
I think that may have been an outlap or possibly had some sort of spin somewhere. So as we take a look at Aaron Edwards sitting in 9th position in the GT4s. Well, this one count, it does, but it's also a slow lap for him, unfortunately. It'll be Phil Singer up next as we're on board with him around one of the trickier corners, that penultimate turn, turn 19. that they've got to watch out for those track boundaries, and he's way off the apex, so I'm not certain this will be his quickest.
It actually is there, Joe, as he's able to put in, but I do not think that one may have counted for him.
No, it did not.
Looks like, yeah, he transgressed those track limits as well, but let's see what our leader in the GT1, he is slow as well, so a lot of guys taking their time to get everything wound up here.
BJ Fulton's pulling a little bit of a toe, but he's gone off track somewhere, so it doesn't count for him. What about Paul Newton and that Peels Orange's car? A 202 flat is not going to be an improvement on his 201.8. And then Doug Baccignoni in the Kermit Green 581. Another driver that is going to have to come back around for a clean one. Meanwhile, Latvala has to improve by 1/4 of a second, and he does not. So he stays P2. He'll get 2 more laps, it looks like, to try and go faster.
Yeah, there you see on Abrams unable to improve as well. John Momeyer, second place in your points, currently back in 7th. This isn't going to be a fast lap for him, but he is definitely going to want to get a better lap on the board here. Jim Slavic unable to improve as well.
Duncan coming across the line, and looks like that lap is not going to do anything for him. I believe Michael Johnson going to be the next one. Can he go higher than 4th? No, not today. He's about a second off of Salehi's pole. Matt Hollander next, and he goes to a 2:17.8. That is quicker, but he'll stay P5. He doesn't gain any spots.
And Jeffrey Shulam here looks like he has had a very, very slow lap, maybe an out lap or a big off somewhere. So this is not going to be quick right now for the 317, currently sitting in 8th place. Not going to be the best for him, but looks like behind him, Chinesi's going to try to set one as well. Looks like he may be off as well.
Yeah, that's a slow lap for him. So Jerry Freckleton is next, 3rd on the sheet, but leading the points right now in the GT4s as the 57 comes down to the line at 2:16.5, doesn't go any faster. Then we've got a whole slew of cars: Filsinger, Fulton, Rondeau, 1, 2, 3, line astern.
Ooh, it looks like BJ Fulton may have been held up a little bit there. Filsinger able to go faster, though, with a 2:20.6. And so that is not going to count for him, though, unfortunately.
I think we're going to get that a lot, even down to the dying stages. Baccignoni, he goes quicker, and he is actually tied down to the 1,000th now with Matthew Robinson. But what we can't see is that iRacing has determined he was marginally slower than Matthew by less than 1,000th of a second. So that's why he's 7th. Jacob Abrams down to the line. And he does improve a 2:03.1. That'll jump him into 10th.
Let's see what the California Jim Slavic can do here, piloting around that last corner. Current best time is a 1:03.8, and he's going to cross the line at a 2:05, so that's not going to be good. He'll have one more chance to try to go, but here is John Momeyer now. Let's see if he's been able to keep it nice and clean.
Well, Momeyer's not qualifying well. He tends to do very good in the races. He'll have to go around one more time. This will be his last shot. Johnson, another slow lap. Jad Duncan doesn't go quicker than his 2:16.2. You've got Hollander and Hagendick up next. This is 2 different classes, so I wonder if Eric, again, is being held up here.
Oh, he definitely was coming off that final corner. There was a little bit of a checkup for Hagendick. Hollander not able to go faster, and Hagendick looked like that lap didn't count.
Aaron Edwards up next, another discounted lap. Chinesi sitting 9th in his class. I believe this is a new name as well, that we haven't seen yet this season. Another one will have to cycle back around. His fellow GTE driver also not going to count one. Paul Newton there. Jeffrey Shulam down in the GT4s. 2:19.8 will be about a half second off of his quickest. Next up, it's Oviatt. Still has the smallest of margins to make up, and that will not count for him either.
No, it won't. And an off there for Robinson as well. Rondeau not able to go faster. Freckleton has a lap that doesn't count there, as well as the checker flag flies.
Looks like first ones to take it are going to be Stad and Latvala. Now, Stad needs at least one lap, and Latvala is going to abandon his, so he's not going to be able to take the pole away from Salehi, and Stad doesn't get a time in. So that takes us now back to Sipek, fourth, on the timing sheets in qualifying.
Making his way out of that back and forth sort of Mickey Mouse section and now going into this multiple apex right-hander. A lot of people have compared that to the infamous turn 7 at Turkey. Very, very apt comparison. Sipek in fourth, hoping to do a little bit better lining up for the last 2 corners. He's
got half a second to make up, though, to get to third. So he needs a big improvement. And he's way off the pace here. He's already passed his time. Michael Johnson, one last shot. Can the hometown boy do it? No, that won't be it. Momeyer abandons his lap and fails to enter safely. As it doesn't need to practice pit stops. We won't have them here. And Aaron Edwards off track. Looks like that lap is done for him. Now we head to Rondeau and Oviatt.
Indeed, Rondeau here piloting his way through. He's currently sat in 12th. We're used to seeing a little bit better of a qualifying performance out of the driver of the 171. Let's see what he can do on this final flyer.
Through the fiddly back and forth stadium section and then into Turkey as the 171 clips the apexes around there quite nicely. And then now the very difficult turn 19, blind apex through there, and he's good. Plunging down into the final corner. Let's see, can he go quicker than 12th on the track? It was within the bounds from when we were watching him, but it's not faster. He's off by a 10th. Oviatt up next, only 6/100ths to improve, but he doesn't get it.
And I think Stad may have been the last one to maybe eke in a time here. Let's see if this is going to count for the California native. That's a 2:02, and it doesn't look like it counts.
Nope, he had already crossed the checkered flag. So that's everybody done, actually, in our qualifying for round 9 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. This has been a fun one to witness evolve, as this is the first time the series will be running a full year-long season for their virtual competition. So the drivers really have to focus and keep on it for a long period here today. Just letting the last few seconds go away on our qualifying, then we'll get through our starting order for you here today. Who will fall afoul of the track limits at this place and find themselves making an unceremonious visit down to pit lane. Looks like it is done, so let's go through our starting order. It is going to be Bayan Salehi with another pole position with a good distance back to Latvala on the timing sheets. Hagendick will start from third with Michael Johnson not doing as well as we had thought he would. Maybe the race will hold something different for him. BJ Fulton starts P5 with Matthew Robinson in 6th and Doug Baccignoni in 7th. It is Paul Newton to the outside of that row and Andrew Chinisi in 9th. It'll be Jacob Abrams rounding out your top 10. On the next slide, it is Michael Robon starting 11th, Mark Rondeau 12th. 13th goes to Jim Slavic with Alan Stad rounding out that field from 14th.
In that GT2 field, it's going to be Jad Duncan and Eric Oviatt making up the front row with your points leader right now, Jerry Freckleton in third, followed by Matthew Sipek. Behind them, it'll be Matt Hollander and Adam Fulton, followed by John Momeyer and Jeffrey Shulam. Moving on back to round out the top 10, it'll be Aaron Edwards and Tyler King, with Ron Palmer and Alex Filsinger rounding out that GT2 field.
All right. So as they line up, it is, as I mentioned, quite a long lap around here. I'm not even sure. Will we see them lap those GT4 cars in the half an hour?
It'll be close, Joe. I think, especially if we see a little bit of incident here and there with some of the GT2s, we could certainly see them have that, but it's certainly going to only be one if we do get those laps.
Will that play a part as well as they come through the hairpin now at the end of the backstretch, turn 12, leading into one of the most technical parts of the track into the stadium section. Drivers Just trying to get all the tires up to temperature, the car in working order before they take off. Who is going to fall afoul as well of that opening corner? Often, even in real life with professionals, the top tier in Formula One, we get wrecks in that corner as it's so hard to navigate that sharp, blind turn as everybody tries to get it woed up and fans out around what we have kind of dubbed Phil Hill around here. Coming through Turkey now, and the Porsche pace car will unleash Bayan Salehi. 30 points to try and make up to our leader, Travis Brown. And Travis not here today to compete, so he can definitely make up a lot of those points in this race. Porsche pace car just coming up to the pit entry. It's a slow 40 miles an hour. There he goes. Salehi waits. Is he going to take off as soon as they come around the corner? No, he's going to check them up. He waits, holds them up. That's a long wait for Salehi. Looking for that green flag. Everybody checked up around it. Green flag is out, and he's on it. Flying up towards the first corner. It's a pretty good start for those around him. Latvala and Hagendick already threatening, but it looks like Salehi is very deep on the brakes, almost contacted. We got a car around trying to keep out of it. Everybody back there has to try and avoid, but he's flipped on his lid, and that is actually Jad Duncan.
It was indeed. There was contact between him and Sipik, and I have to say that caught out Jerry Freckleton, who was one of the cars that you saw stuck behind there. A big kerfluffle in those GT2s.
Didn't get a good start, tried to defend. We'll come back to the replay later. A little bit of an off in the background. That's Jacob Abrams and Rondeau as well.
Indeed, a lot of problems here getting caused for these Porsche drivers in this opening lap. And there you can see that battle for P1, though. Latvala looking very, very aggressive going down into that turn 11 hairpin. Lots of drivers running a little bit wide there.
BJ Fulton is in third behind him. He started from fifth, gained 2 spots off the start. So a great run from him, an even better one from Latvala as he pulls the slipstream down towards turn 12, but already defensive Bayan Salehi covering him off. Is he going to be able to prevent the over-under here? Yes, he is, as they all stream through that first good passing zone.
And now we take a look back on that GT2 field, an absolute hornet's nest as they come through. But Oviatt continues to lead here from Hollander and Sipik. Sipik able to avoid a good amount of damage.
My goodness, behind them, you weren't kidding. And flying down to the inside, that was Jacob Abrams, who cut the course, I think, actually. I'd be shocked if he doesn't get some sort of slowdown penalty. He was well to the inside. But yeah, this is all essentially fighting for Ron Palmer's 4th position. And Abrams is in the GTE class, of course, so that's why now he's able to get through without losing positions as they all fan out. Oh, this is not looking good as so many different lines being taken by the drivers through Turkey.
Exactly, and there was definitely a little bit of contact there. Filsinger getting into the back of Freckleton, getting into the back of Momeyer. That checked up Freckleton big time. You can see them, but at the front of that is going to be Rondeau being able to try to get by John Momeyer. Momeyer currently in 6th. That is the positioning of this battle you see.
That's Rondeau coming back through. Let's take a look at the replay on what happened into the first corner with our GT2 leaders, as Jad Duncan unfortunately had to take a tow. So even if he takes his spare car, he's going to be well back. And I think it looks like Matt Hollander is the one that makes the contact with him. Yeah, he's the green car to the inside. He's trying to cover him off, pinches him all the way down. And unfortunately, eventually Matt runs out of room and can't go any farther.
And there you see that contact as Duncan slides across the track. There you can see the overhead angle. Very, very checked up start, courtesy of that checkup from the GT1s. A little bit of a slide over, just a miscommunication among drivers. Duncan tries to hold the brakes, and then right here, that is Freckleton that gets into him, and that's what put him there. And there you can see that's Momeyer getting into him as well. So both of our championship leaders in some serious trouble.
Wow, and I think that was Adam Fulton that you saw get spun on the outside of the corner. Oviatt now has a good opportunity to take a lot of points over the others here. That is actually a battle for position in the GT1 class between Abrams and Rondeau down into the hairpin. It's to decide who is not last.
An advantage right there is going to go to Mark Rondeau, but we look out the back of Eric Oviatt, the GT2 leader at the moment. That Hot Wheels machine chasing him down. That's Rondeau with Abrams hot on his heels behind.
Yeah, should be able to get by Oviatt here. Oh, and looks like he's trying to just take his normal racing line, and that's going to compromise him a little bit, but he's got such a gap over Hollander that it's not too much of an issue. Both Abrams and Rondeau certainly taking quite a few liberties with the track limits.
Indeed. Ooh, nice little battle here shaping up. That's Paul Newton and Stodd getting around him right there in that yellow and black machine.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the replay. It happened down into turn one. Allen actually doing a fantastic job out breaking him into the corner. There you see he just slips to the inside. Ooh, little hep check coming down the corner, but they come out clean, so Allen takes ninth.
Yeah, good move from him there, and one of those anticipated good overtaking opportunities like we talked about. But we ride on board looking at the back of Allen Stade right now, and here comes Newton trying to fight down. Now this is going into turn 11. Great crossover move there from Newton and a good recovery from Stad.
Onto the back stretch. Unfortunately, Newton didn't get the exit he wanted, but BJ Fulton did. BJ Fulton is going to try and attack for second on Corey Latvala. From looking at the lead to now having to defend his position, Corey takes the inside into turn 12, but carrying the momentum. There goes BJ Fulton. Oh, he locks him up down into the stadium section, and Corey gets it right back.
And Joe, that's exactly that kind of fight back and forth like I talked about. Think of this as Watkins Glen with hairpins. That's kind of the way this functions. When you go down to the boot of Watkins Glen, you're able to fight back as the corners just switch back, and advantage will go back and forth.
Let's take a look at the GT4 fight for fourth. Schulem and Palmer side by side as well. And that's Palmer who's getting back in a line in the purple machine, just behind Jeffrey, so that puts him into fifth. As Schulem, does he defend? No, he's just going to hold the racing line. This leaves the door open for Ron. He's going to try for it. Oh, no, way too deep on the brakes. And that is Momeyer, I think. Yeah, Momeyer losing a spot instead as they continue to go side by side. And Palmer can't quite get it. Goes for the over-under, gets a touch from behind. Can't hold on, and the car swings backwards as the 29 unceremoniously falls to 10th.
And that was Filsinger that I think got into the back of him there. So there you see that side-by-side. Momeyer may have picked up a slowdown there. Almost contact. Filsinger just carries a little bit too much speed through the corner. I think he gets onto the throttle a little bit too early there, and that's what sends him around.
Wow, some incredible racing here at the start. It just hasn't gone as well for some as it has for others. The battle for P6, Baccignoni with Robinson and also Chinisi, the newcomer, in the hunt.
Exactly, and they've got to be a little bit careful. Alan Stad only about a second behind them, but we watch out the back of Baccignoni's car right now as we fly down that long back straightaway going down into turn 12. That's one of the good overtaking opportunities. I don't think Robinson's going to go for anything. No, that's a lockup in front, I believe, from Hagendick going down into there, but a bad exit out of the corner, and here comes Robinson down to the inside of 13, has to check up.
Not close enough to Doug. But Doug has been off the last 3 apexes. Is he going to find one eventually? There's one. And that actually is good timing because Robinson nearly got his nose underneath him. They're also being caught by Stad and Newton. This might become a 5-car battle pretty soon.
It certainly could as they make their way through that Turkey corner. It's that Turkey that's coming down into turn, the final turn out of Turkey. Now making their way into the final. You are not going to try to make that pass through there, Robinson. Indeed, he's got to check up. Here comes Chinisi coming up behind. That's going to give him a really good run going down into turn 1.
All sensors were going danger, Matthew Robinson, and he had to get out of it. This has put him under threat as Chinisi is now close. I don't think he could attack really. And in fact, look at the defensive move there from Robinson. Once again, Doug struggling under braking and yet still doesn't lose the spot.
Really actually impressive to be able to have that much speed coming off of a missed apex like that. But here they come through the S's. No real way through here. But if I'm Robinson, I'm just going to keep this pressure up on Boccioni. He's seen the mistakes that he can make. Let's see if he can continue to do it. Wider line there from Robinson. Better apex, better exit coming out of the corner. Now, this is such a tricky corner. This is 8 and 9.
Oh, and an accident behind them. Looks like Stad and Newton have come together. Now, was this Stad just losing it, or did Newton help this out?
I gotta say, just taking a look at it here, Joe, I think that's a little bit on Paul Newton, a little over-eager going down into turn 8. Stad started to go around, but Newton definitely shouldn't have stuck his nose in there.
And credit to Paul, he actually slowed up. He let Allen keep the spot. So that'll be 9th for Stad, 10th for Newton.
Exactly. Now they fly their way down the backstretch. Newton not really going for the attack here right now, just winding it up into turn 12.
Let's go to Momeyer. And John is up to P5, just behind Jeffrey Shulam. We're going to ride on board with the 96 as we watch through the S's. Oh, that was a lot of curb, and there goes Shulam. Actually manages to keep it out of the barriers. Nicely done. Thought for sure he was going to find his way to the Armco.
I thought he was too, doing his best impression of a rallycross car there, jumping over that sausage curb. We're going to go on to a replay here to see just how hairy this was.
As soon as I saw that car get on 2 wheels, I thought there's no way that's going to go well for him. But he recovered nicely. And man, these apex little pyramid curves are nasty around here.
They really, really are. And whoa, there you can see it. The car just utterly unstable. Wow, that is an impressive bit of braking out of Shulam.
Don't panic. And he caught it. Let's go back to Boccioni because Matthew Robinson has actually continued to try and pressurize the 581. Hasn't worked yet. He's also been doing well dealing with the 18, who's been keeping him honest should Matthew try to stick it too wide. Of course, looks like he dropped off a little bit through turn 9 and 10.
Indeed he did. Now this is going on to that backstretch. We ride on board here with Chinisi. Let's see what everybody can do. Big gap up ahead. Robinson, I think, is going to be one of them trying to press his advantage going down into turn 12, but I don't think he is going to be close enough unless Boccioni makes a mistake here under braking. A little bit of a look to the inside just to try to get in Doug's head. Doesn't exactly work, and Boccioni holds on to the space.
And Andrew just goes way wide, loses a lot of time to these two. And the 27 still close to Boccioni. You can see sneak attacks through here. He's not going to be able to pull one off at that stage. Definitely goes wider, using as much of the track as he can, and that was still within bounds. Oh, whoa, and having a very big trouble coming through Turkey as that car just suddenly fell back.
Yeah, big time. A lot of struggle there. A little bit of a run wide there for Boccioni. Now they line it back through that final turn 20. Good runs for both cars there. No real advantage going. Now on this last lap, Robinson poked his nose to the inside ever so slightly to see if he can scare Boccioni off the line. Let's see if he does it. Yeah, he does it again. Very late onto the brakes. Not quite enough to do it, but just trying to frighten Doug as much as possible.
Almost looks like if he swings it out a little wider, he actually might have it, but he keeps pinching it down out of respect, trying not to run into the side of Boccioni. We don't know if these guys have a 3-monitor setup, a 1-monitor setup, or potentially a VR set, so we can't tell how much they can see of their competitors into that turn.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times when you're racing not on the sim, you can kind of feel it. Ooh, good run there from Robinson coming out of those corners. They make their way through turn 10. This is the closest I've seen him. He's going to have a look going down into turn 11. Late on the brakes is the 27, binds it up and gets himself ahead of Doug Boccioni.
Not easy being green for Doug today, as that's another spot gone. The 27 up to 6. Now can he run away? He's got about 4 seconds, it looks like, up to Hog and Dick right now. As we've got a fight between Hollander and Sipek. This is for second, but a very distant second. They were cost a lot of time with those opening wrecks up to Oviatt. It's 9, nearly 10 seconds to the 23.
Yeah, most certainly Oviatt able to avoid all of that carnage on the first lap. And now you just see the stalking going on from Matthew Sipek, trying to see if he can find an angle. Again, that drift to the inside, maybe thinking about it. Very late on the brakes for Matthew Sipek.
You got to be careful about that weaving under the braking, and it works out for both of them. But Matt Hollander getting frisky. Sipek will still get more shots at this as he retains about a 3/10 of a second gap. Don't need to go to it. I can report that Jacob Abrams had a spin at the back of the GT1 field. He gets it going.
And now you see Sipek falling back ever so slightly through the S's. Not uncommon, not unexpected. So very hard to get the car wound up through there. Very good, though, for Sipek. Hollander, you saw, took a little bit too much speed there through the latter parts.
Ooh, things are getting interesting at the top of our GT1s. They are going to lap them, the GT2 class. Right now I see Fulton, Johnson in the thick of a lot of the battles that we saw early in the race. Those GT4 cars kind of clumped together in one spot. And so you can see just how many of them they're having to deal with and how quickly they dispose of them.
Yeah, very, very noticeable, especially through that SS section, the difference in speed between our GT1 and GT2 fields, as those GT1 Porsche 911 RSRs really and truly have so much more downforce and are able to take advantage of those faster speeds through the very quick corners.
So Johnson actually gained a little bit through that traffic. Maybe that's where some of his knowledge of this track is coming in handy, because he's got it down to 1.3 seconds to BJ Fulton. But Fulton, likewise, is still hanging on to the rear of Corey Lotfula by about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, nobody really able to separate themselves out too much here in that GT1 class. As we ride on board there, you see a little bit of sawing at the wheel. That car fully not under him.
Yeah, Michael's still struggling. He's still where he started this race in 4th. He actually lost that spot to BJ, who started a position behind, is up 2 from his gridding spot. The 277 now on the podium. Maybe hoping for just a little bit more, and yeah, little catches here and there from the 9.
Yeah, that car just looking very unstable. It looks like it just doesn't want to grip on corner exit. Maybe a little bit of rear instability. He's having to catch the car.
Got a side-by-side battle for 7th. Doug once again having to fight for his position. This time it's Andrew and the number 18, Chinisi, takes it in deep. He keeps the inside, but he doesn't get the traction off the corner.
No, he doesn't, and that right-handed sweeper is going to go back to Doug Boccignoni. Chinisi falls behind a little bit. Good job there from him, taking that wider line, entering into the S's. That will certainly help him as they go along. He's just got to try to keep that car as close behind as he can and maybe be able to get the good run. Ooh, excellent run there coming out of turn 7. Look how close he is coming through 8 and 9.
Could he manage to get this one? Will he want to wait for the backstretch, or is he going to try and attack down into 11? No, he's going to stay in line. Maybe trying to set himself up, coming off the corner. Yes, indeed. And Doug, once again, just can't get the car to turn in. This will give a great bit of slipstream down the backstretch.
Indeed it will. Chinisi now just tucks up behind that green machine of Doug Boccignoni. You see him start to close in, drifts out to the inside. That will be the inside of turn 11. Ooh, dangerously close to contact there. Chinisi able to get the car planted and get down and get on his way.
Great stuff there from the rookie. Meanwhile, let's head over to the fight with Lotfula, because Fulton got it down to about 0.3 of a second. He's lost about another 10 since then. Michael Johnson, though, also 0.5 of a second up to Fulton.
Yeah, this really turning into a 3-car battle here, and every time you think you've got it under control, it starts to seesaw back into the other one. Little bit of a wiggle there coming off of the corner for Corey Lotvilla as we see Brian Salehi setting the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Bayern's just scampering away with this one. It's about 8.7 seconds between himself and Lotvilla, who we see in the red Porsche right now. Off the corner, Corey once again keeping himself out of arm's reach.
It's really all he's got to do is he doesn't need to necessarily get a big field, but this is Oviatt ahead of him, able to clear through there. Easy clearance for Lotvilla. Fulton and Johnson got a little bit held up, I think Fulton in particular, and here comes Johnson, but Johnson doesn't have the power there coming off of turn 7.
So they caught and have passed the GT4 cars in about 20 minutes, so they may get to the back of the field again, but not be passing the leader, I don't think, for a second time. Oof, down into turn 11, Fulton poking his nose.
Yeah, you see him Constantina up there a lot through that heavy braking zone, and now they fly down that back straightaway. You see all of these cars just in a line here. Very interestingly, it looks like BJ Fulton has the most top speed as they start to come in. Johnson not really able to take advantage.
Oh. He was deep on it. He doesn't manage to get side by side. I was almost worried that actually he was going to run into the back of the 22 there. And this is actually fantastic for Michael Johnson. Well, it hasn't looked like he's had the pace to really threaten. The more these two fight, the more it gives him a chance to snag a position or even two.
Most certainly, a little bit of a lockup there for BJ Fulton as now they make their way through Turkey, that multi-apex right-hander. I've got to say, a very good impression of the Pruitt fade there for Corey Lotvilla coming down the backstretch. But you're right, Joe, so very lucky there was no contact. They fan out a little bit there through those fast sweeping sections.
Has anybody asked Scott Pruitt if he likes having that attributed to him? I've always wondered that because he's still around. And I think, is he still racing actually? I know he was up till recently.
I believe he retired at the end of 2019 when Nissan pulled their program from IMSA. I think that was his last season.
Ah. Well, somebody needs to get a little interview and see what he thinks about that name being, that move being given his name as the second, third, and fourth place drivers weave through the S's. Lotvilla has got to withstand this for 9 more minutes.
Indeed.
I think we got a bit of a fight, yeah, with Freckleton here.
Ooh, good over-under there move from Jerry. This is working on Alex Filsinger as they come into those last corners. That was a really heads-up move. Oh, Filsinger getting a little bit racy there with our points leader, but Jerry not deterred at all. He's going to keep that position, move him up to 6th.
Yeah, and Jerry did not have a great round last time at Barcelona. So 2 bad races in a row is not going to help him out. He's got to rebound here and try to work his way up the order. He at least gets by Filsinger, but it's only up to 6th.
And crucially in that, John Momeyer is 2 positions up the road in 4th. That is Jerry's championship rival right here, so he's got to get going. There is Momeyer on your screen.
Yeah, and he's a decent ways up. Looks like about 5 seconds up the road I'm seeing from him right now. But Momeyer also doesn't look likely he's going to take any more spots because he's got something like 20 seconds up to 3rd place currently.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gap, but we have seen some crazy things happen in the Porsche Owners Club, so never say never on that one, Joe.
True, very true. And especially if he gets caught the second time around by the GT1 traffic, that could always be a big danger spot, either losing time or simply running into a bit of contact if somebody does not judge things right. And those 5 seconds could disappear in a hurry. Only 7 more minutes, though, at 2+ minutes a lap, even for our fastest class. This is actually quite close to being over.
It most certainly is. 11 laps in the books for our leaders in the GT1 and about coming up on 10 laps down in those GT2 classes. So a very, very fast romp here around the Circuit of the Americas.
Corey Lotvilla is gone down to 1, I think. Yeah, Johnson seems to have had issues. He's up to 1.3 seconds behind them. There we go. Oh, no, excuse me. That's a lapped car. I thought for a second that was a pass attempting to be made, but that's Jad Duncan, who sadly, though he was on the pole, is down in 11th. His toe took way too long, and he's not really going to have much to show for here today. On board with Johnson, just to show you the length of the gap up to BJ Fulton.
Yeah, it's really pretty big, and BJ himself has lost a little bit of time there too. Corey on that last lap just held up coming around turn 11 by Jad Duncan. No fault of Jad's. That's just what happens during multi-class racing.
So where is Salehi right now? He's actually coming through Turkey into the penultimate turn. So yeah, less than 6 minutes left. This should be, I guess that'd be 2 to go, wouldn't it? Or is this 3?
It's going to be close on 2 or 3. We'll have to see what the time eventually shakes down to.
Well, it crossed with about 5.5. I'm never any good at this. I shouldn't do math while we're live. We'll get a better accurate reading in a couple laps time for sure. But regardless, Bayern is ready to take another victory just as long as he keeps it within the racing bounds and doesn't get himself any sort of incident limit penalty in these last couple laps.
Yeah, that's all he's got to do at this point. Bayern again showing an absolutely picture-perfect command of this Porsche 911 RSR, going around this very, very tricky circuit of the Americas to perfection.
Once again, back to Hollander and his fight for second place. Sipek making sure to make him work for it. You can see the 17 in the red, white, and blue chasing the green, white, and black of the number 69 out of the final corner and onto the front stretch one more time. It's been stuck at about this half-second gap for much of the race.
Yeah, Sipek not really able to close it down, and not overly surprising, even though these cars are big and boxy and do punch a big hole in the air. Because of the lack of downforce on them, the draft effect is not exactly what you would expect, and certainly not as prevalent in something like Formula One, or even when we've seen like the F3s come out here on this circuit, Joe.
By the way, it is going to be 2 laps to go at the line for Bayern Salehi this time by. So time is running out. If anybody wants to try and make a pass like Matthew Sipek, he's going to have to look for a better spot than here. Certainly too far back, and not many times that you see passes in the S's at this track.
No, not at all. Though very, very run wide there from Matthew Hollander. A little bit of an abuse of track limits potentially, but it looks like Hollander very much starting to pull away.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he's loving that. The less pressure that he has to deal with. Another little slide off of turn 11 from Matthew Sipek. Even though it's a short race, you can burn off these tires. I wonder if that's what he's done.
Very well could be, Joe, and one of the biggest things that really comes into effect with these tires, we talk about it a lot, is the heat. If you get a lot of heat into these tires, they can really act like they are absolutely gone from you, and you've got to spend a lap or two trying to cool them back down.
Ooh, Jerry Freckleton has got a run on Tyler King, and that's also John Momeyer, his championship rival, just in front of him. I don't think he's going to get a twofer here, but he might at least be able to overtake King and get himself within striking distance on the final lap, potentially. But King's going to defend, sends it in deep, and actually holds him back.
He does an excellent bit of defense there. I think Jerry just got a little scared off the apex. That was that big jink that you saw out of that car. And now King starting to put a little bit of pressure here to John Momeyer as Freckleton falls back ever so slightly through the back and forth section. Indeed, King had a little bit of an overlap there. Maybe Freckleton's got an advantage coming through Turkey. Here they go.
Suddenly, it went from defense to attack for Tyler King. Does he try and make the move into turn 1 potentially? Momeyer, is way too wide, and he misses the apex. That's going to give it up to Tyler. Will it also allow Jerry Freckleton to sneak through? He's got the apex over him, and indeed, Jerry Freckleton back up to 5th. Momeyer gets demoted to 6th.
You can see Momeyer there trying to go for that over-under, that crossover move off the final corner, but it did not work. He's got to be super late on the brakes, but Freckleton is wise to it, defends him back, and indeed Momeyer slots into line. A little bit of a checkup there from Freckleton. That may give advantage back to Momeyer.
So Jerry sailing through into 5th, but he still would probably like one more, and he could take it from the 211. Now, in the background, as we watch them come down the front stretch, you saw Brian Salehi's dark Porsche RSR take the white flag. There you see him now on screen.
Yeah, so Bayan here on his final lap. And remember, if he catches Freckleton, Momeyer, and King here and gets past them on this lap, that means that it will be the final lap for all.
I think he is going to catch him. And this battle for second is suddenly meeting havoc because they're having to go past some of our GT2 cars.
Indeed it is. That is the battle with Latvala and Fulton. Latvala currently ahead, trying to get by right now if he can. He is able to get the move done into that turn 11.
So Freckleton has a good run just as they are lapped. So this is the last lap for these two. Salehi passed and leaves them alone. Too early a braking for Freckleton. He's not going to get it there. There's few opportunities to pass from here, but this might be one. Coming down into 13. He gets it to the inside. Almost contact with his rival, but he sticks it.
What an amazing move from Jerry Freckleton. Absolute millimeter perfect knowledge of where his car is to move him up into 4th place.
Wow. I didn't think he was going to have an easy time making the overtake, but somehow he did it. Brian Salehi definitely had an easier time than many of the others in this race because a victory by 10 seconds once again brings him to the 4 in the championship, a win in Texas for the 15.
A great run, nearly unperturbed out in front. We watch here, this is the stragglers in the GT2 field coming across the line. Tyler King following behind Jerry Freckleton. You see the weaving there in the back from Latvala, who was able to hold off Fulton, and that is John Momeyer coming home 6th.
Freckles into 4th. Wow, great stuff. Latvala into P2 in the GT1 class. BJ Fulton 3rd. Michael Johnson not able to make any inroads from his 4th starting position. Meanwhile, Eric Oviatt has got a lonely race to the finish now with, let's see, is Hollander on the same lap? Yes, Hollander and Sipek are on the same lap, but those are the only two still on the same lap as him, and they are nowhere to be seen.
Indeed, they are just now entering that backstretch as we watch Oviatt make his way through the stadium section for the final time. Very, very good drive from Oviatt today. Was able to keep his nose clean from all of the craziness at the start. Be interested to talk to him in the post-race interviews to see how it was out of his left side mirror. But a couple more corners here, and Eric Oviatt will take the win in Texas.
Oviatt not even in the top 5 in the points before today, but the 23 proving his mettle as he comes out of Turkey. Just a couple more corners to go. Empty track in front of him. As also empty track behind his two rivals. Not even within eyesight, eyeshot, earshot. I don't know what you want to call it. As he comes out of the final corner, the 23 wins here at Circuit of the Americas. And that is going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. A great race out there today for the Porsche Owners Club. Round 9 saw Bayan Salehi with another victory on his tally and gaining a lot of points over his rivals on top of it. Latvala came home in second, but instead of challenging Bayan, he was on his rear guard and was 10 seconds behind at the line. He held back BJ Fulton, who completed the podium with Michael Johnson close for much of the race, but then couldn't keep up the pace. The local boy still claimed a top 5, and I'm sure that'll at least make him happy enough. Eric Hagendick was 5th with Matthew Robinson in P6. You've got Andrew Chinisi coming in for his first race in the series, getting a 7th, and Doug Boccignoni going a little bit backwards throughout, finishing 8th. Paul Newton was 9th. Alan Stad getting a top 10, was then followed by Michael Robon in 11th, Jim Slavic in 12th, and Mark Rondeau rounding out our finishers in the GT1 class.
In that GT2 class, Eric Oviatt was able to take the win, followed by Matthew Hollander, who held off Matthew Sipek behind him. Jerry Freckleton with a great recovery drive after being involved in that first lap incident came home 4th in class, followed by Tyler King and John Momeyer, the three of them in a great battle that we saw. Behind them was Alec Filsinger in 7th place, followed by Aaron Edwards in 8th. Adam Fulton was 9th. And rounding out your top 10 was Jeffrey Shulam with Jad Duncan and Ron Palmer in 11th and 12th.
So Bayan Salehi, who took the win, now joins us here in the booth after a 30-minute race around Circuit of the Americas. And Bayan, we were expecting to see the specialist, Michael Johnson, up at the front, but there is no such thing. Instead, you took that role today, absolutely trouncing the field. Were you just as surprised that you were the one to lead the charge?
Thanks, guys. I mean, I'm pretty strong at this track generally, and I was doing the practices this week, and I found a really good rhythm and was really happy with the car. And yeah, I knew my pace, and I knew it would really come down to managing the traffic, because Corey really caught up to me this week. And yeah, luckily traffic went well and things were in my favor. So.
This changes the complexion of the points championship. You came in 30 points behind, but you put a bunch over Michael Johnson with his 4th place finish, and Travis Brown was not able to show. What does this do for your consideration in the championship? How do you feel after this round?
Feeling like by now just making up for the small blunders early in the season, but we still got a really long season, and I'm just going race by race. I know we got a 90-minute enduro in Virginia in 2 weeks, and it's not one of my strongest tracks, so I have a lot of homework up until then.
Yeah, and that's a good question with the enduro. We don't usually have pit stops in most of the rounds, so what sort of things are you going to do to try and prepare yourself for those?
Probably do some IMSA races. I know they're not 90 minutes, but just to practice the pit stops, that's definitely a big factor. So definitely look out for those, and it should be a much more interesting and closer race, I think.
Well, again, congratulations. Who helped make this victory happen?
Pretty much just my practice, but just want to thank all the guys out there for doing such a great job. This club has come a long way, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone at the Tribute to Le Mans in 2 weeks at Willow Springs on May 15th and 16th. See you there.
That was Bayan Salehi taking victory, and up next we've got Eric Oviatt with DJ Clark.
Well, Eric, you started out second, and by the end of the first corner, you were in the lead, and you never looked back. Looked like a pretty flawless race from your perspective.
Laps, but for the most part, ran pretty clean and easy. I guess I owe Hollander a bottle of Octavio tequila for taking rid of the competition and then just hanging back there.
Well, talk me through that first lap incident. Obviously, a big kerfluffle for your competitors down on the inside. Did you see any of that, or were you pretty much just eyes fixed ahead?
I was planning on giving room on the inside at the apex no matter what, just because Coda's famous for a bunch of accidents, and I just went and looked at the replay, and it's a good thing I did because Jed came flying through backwards across the berm and just missed him. If I would have gone down to apex, probably would have gotten taken out myself, so I just got lucky. But yeah, it looks like he was trying to pinch Matt down below into the pit lane and didn't work out.
Well, I think it would play out for you. Now we go from, a super modern circuit here. Next track we see you guys on is Virginia International Raceway. I think one of the definitions of an old school track for an endurance race. How do you think that's going to fare for you?
Wow. Yeah, I don't have much experience there. I think we ran it once, but endurance races are fun. I kind of settled in on this race, had some good laps toward the end, and sometimes you get quicker as it goes, just kind of hanging out for an hour. So just got to working on in the pits and out of the pits quickly. I forgot to work on that last endurance race, and I came into the pit slow, and then avoid speeding and run laps. That's about it.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good battle plan from my perspective. Eric, anybody you'd like to thank here for the win tonight?
Just my HRG crew and my girlfriend Aubrey just walked in the door while I'm racing. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. My dad, parents, they check in and watch you guys. So thanks for the broadcast. I enjoy it.
Well, thank you, Eric, and congratulations again. That was Eric Oviatt, your winner in the GT2 category, and now Corey Lotfula is catching up with our Joe Peak.
Indeed, second place for Corey. And as far back as he finished from Bayern in the end, Corey, at the start, you actually were challenging him. Were you that aggressive knowing that might be your only shot?
I was for sure trying. BJ was hot on my tail. There's really nothing I could do about him. He had my number today. All I had to do was make one mistake and he would have been right on top of me. But Bayern is very, very fast. It's going to take some work to get around him.
Yeah, talk about that fight with both BJ and Michael Johnson. Was that a little nerve-wracking, especially knowing that Bayern's going to be continuing to extend that points lead over you if he finished in the lead today?
Oh, for sure. We came through the finish line and I was like, BJ, dude, I feel like I'm sitting in a swimming pool right now. It's just, oh man, he was putting so much pressure on me. I just could not make a mistake. And yeah, doing that and getting caught up in the GT4 has really put us back. So.
Well, it was awesome to watch you guys fight. In fact, that gave us a lot of the action here today on our coverage. Heading off to Virginia International Raceway, though, we go to sort of the opposite problem of here, where instead of a bunch of paved runoff, there is nothing but grass next to the track out there. How do you feel heading off to Virginia?
Yeah, it's almost the grass is almost a little bit worse than getting the instant points. So it's you got to be a lot more careful there. So that'll be a big thing.
Well, we'll watch for you and hope to get to talk to you again. But congratulations on a podium.
Thank you. I just want to thank my sponsors, Schmidt Racing, the POC for putting this on, and you guys doing a great job with the broadcast, and friends and family mostly. And that's it. Thank you.
That was Corey Lotfula, who finished second here today. And DJ has caught up with P2 finisher in the GT2s, Matt Hollander.
Well, Matt, it was a very eventful race, I think, for you out there, to say the least. Starting off with a big coming together on that first lap. Talk me through it.
Seeing if we can get Matt's mic hooked
How about now?
There we go. I got you, Matt.
All right, I heard you. I apologize. I felt that there at the start, those guys almost were a little slow off the line. I got a good start, and I tried to just hold the track line to the left and come down that blend line, and it looked like Jad just kind of came over and was trying to squeeze me a little bit, but I was just going to hold my line and go for it. So.
Did you have a lot of damage to the car? Was it affecting you, or were you able to keep going pretty easily?
It felt like I had a little bit of right front damage. Was definitely off pace quite a bit, but was able to hang on to it, I guess. But didn't really have a whole lot of time to practice in the RSR this week, building a simulator for one of the newcomers. So figured rather than trying to screw with the setup and everything else with the RSRs, it would just be easier to go and run the GT4, but proven to be a little more difficult than I had expected.
Well, it seemed like at least you had some pace maybe for Oviatt if you'd been able to stay within a little bit of a slipstream. You think maybe if the kerfluffle at the start hadn't happened, you would have had something for him, or you think it was just that was all she wrote?
I don't have a crystal ball, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Eric was on fire tonight. He was moving pretty good. So hard to say if I would have been able to keep pace, but next race we'll find out.
Indeed, we will. Matt, anybody you'd like to thank tonight for the second place?
Of course, want to thank Century Financial, Octavio Tequila, the Porsche Owners Club, and of course my family for putting up with me, doing this racing on Monday nights.
Well, thanks, Matt, and congratulations again.
Thanks, guys.
It was Matt Hollander, your second place in the GT2 category, and now Joe Peak is caught up with BJ Fulton, your third place finisher in the GT1s.
Yes, BJ making an incredible charge from 5th to 3rd within a couple corners at the start of the race. BJ, did you know you had that in you? Because it certainly impressed us.
Yeah, I had been struggling for a bit in these races at the start, but so I knew I had to work on that. I had been, and frankly, I knew if I was on the left side of the track at the start, I would have a good chance to make it with some spots, and I did.
That you did. Got you onto the podium, and you didn't stop there. Corey was saying that you were making him sweat, that you kept him honest both throughout the race and all the way down to the line. Is there anything you feel like you could have done different to get yourself up into second?
Well, I had one really good opportunity near the start of the race. I got by him momentarily, but then I locked it up on the next corner and had to let him back through. I think if I could have stayed in front of him there, I might have just been able to keep him behind me. But when I was behind him, he just had a little bit of edge on pace, so I couldn't get around him.
Also, I have to imagine it probably feels good knowing that you beat Michael Johnson here today with his history at this track. Does that make it a little bit more sweet?
Definitely. He was making me sweat too there for a while. He was catching me. But, then traffic really played a big role at the end of that race to decide that order. And I'm thankful it worked out the way it did, I guess.
Yeah, get you a podium here today. Is there anybody you want to thank for managing to spray the champagne today?
Yeah, this time I'd like to thank my parents, my dad for getting me into the sport of auto racing, and my mom for putting it up for all these years. And just wish my mom a happy Mother's Day a little bit early.
Ah, very nice there from BJ Fulton, making sure to thank the right people as the 277 gets a third place today. Up next, we've got third in the GT2 class. DJ's caught up with Matt Sipek.
Well, Matt, you were another one that managed to avoid the kerfluffle on the inside of turn one there and drove a fantastic race after that to be able to hold on and keep going. How was it out there?
Oh, I had a great time. And I was chasing Matthew, the other Matthew, the whole time, and I kept expecting him to make a mistake or to get a drive-through, and he kept it just clean enough. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I have to ask you then, as a driver, do you like to be in that position where you've got somebody ahead of you you're chasing, or do you like to just sort of be off in your own and be like, okay, I can just run hot laps? Which one do you prefer?
Oh, chasing, absolutely.
I think we've got a real racer on our hands with that, Matthew. Well, then I have to say, turning our eyes ahead, we go from the asphalt runoff of COTA to the grass of VIR and an endurance race. How do you think that's going to handle out for you?
I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to have to practice driving on old tires and pit stops, but I'm excited for the change.
Well, Matthew, we're excited to watch it, but anybody you'd like to thank here for this podium tonight?
Yeah, actually, my family actually tuned in for the first time, so I want to thank my sister, my dad, my mom, and my wife. They're supporting me in this hobby, and it's awesome.
If you got support like that and a podium, I don't know what else you can need. Matthew Sipek, congratulations again. And now Joe Peak has caught up finally with Michael W. Johnson.
Yeah, he's been the big storyline all week leading up to this. And Michael, we were a bit surprised. 4th place in qualifying, 4th place in the race. How do you feel about that?
Surprised. No, it was a good run, honestly, for the Octavio Tequila car. Felt pretty good. Had a little bit of a bad start, which allowed BJ to get through. I generally want to leave that inside open on that first corner because someone generally comes through there hot, which I believe happened in the GT4s. They had a little bit of a kerfluffle on their side, and kind of playing it a little bit safe. And then I burned out my tires trying to get around Eric. Eric's very fast. Eric is very good, but I finally got him going into 12, and then all of a sudden my tires were gone. So I had to cool them off. Went and caught up with what I think was probably a lot of the show tonight, which was Corey, BJ, and me going nose to tail for a couple of laps. But I kept catching up to them, burning out my tires, backing off, having to cool the tires. I actually switched the page on the steering wheel to the tire page to wait for the tire temperature to come down, because the pressures were up at like 25.5, 25 and 3/4. And they're supposed to be about 25, 24.5. And they were just way too hot. And I'd cook them out, and then I'd go catch them again and blow them out. And then, of course, that last lap. I had everything planned, had everything set. It was going to be a huge coup for the tequila car here, the Octavio tequila car. And then, I just had bad luck with that traffic. They did everything they were supposed to. They did it beautifully. But it was also a good show for me. I enjoyed watching BJ and Corey just go at it hammer and tongs. So it was fun. I had a good time.
Well, we also had a good time, and you're right. You got plenty of screen time, you trio. But the sad thing is that's the only visit to your home track this season. Is there anything looking forward that you're kind of eyeing from here on out that you feel like you've got a lot of strength and could potentially fight for a victory or a podium?
Well, you get one guess where my first pro podium came from. Which track that was.
First pro podium.
Yeah. It might be the one we're doing in 2 weeks.
Really? VIR?
Really. That was my first podium in a pro series. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited to go back there. One of the first races I did with these guys was the IMSA Invitational race, where the Porsche Owners Club came in to fill out the GT4 field. Because the GT4 field for the IMSA drivers was kind of light. And that's actually how I got in touch and met all these guys was doing the race there. So VIR, I think, is going to be a fun race for me and the Octavio tequila car and everybody else. The hard part about VIR is if you hit one blade of grass, you may as well be on ice, because sometimes they reach over the edge of the track surface and just grab you. So it makes for an exciting race. Fortunately, it's 90 minutes. So we'll see how it goes with getting in for some quick repairs or whatever. But I absolutely love VIR, and one of the main teams I race with, Tech Sport Racing, is based out of VIR. That is they have their shop there and everything. So hi, Tech Sport. Hope to be working with you guys again real soon.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll consider that a second home track for you then, but we're not going to make that one a storyline, so we don't jinx you this time. So commiserations.
Okay, good, then I can win.
Commiserations, it wasn't a podium, but thanks for a lot of entertainment today.
I'll take an honorary third on this one.
That sounds good to me. That was Michael W. Johnson, who finished fourth today, and that's going to wrap up our interviews. Of course, we want to thank the sponsors before we go. Of course, starting with Porsche, because there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And, of course, Sunset Mortgage. Don't put your money in the bank, be the bank. Check them out today at sunsetcash.net. And Octavio Tequila. Celebrate now. For a great tasting tequila, go to octaviotequila.com and purchase today. And Century Financial Consultants, making the rest of your life the best of your life. You can check out their website at centuryretire.com. Thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We got a link in the description below, but don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. As we mentioned, in 2 weeks' time, we are going to Virginia International Raceway. That'll be Monday, May 17th at 11 p.m. Eastern. But we also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.